Well, welcome. My name is Julie Hope Hagewood. I am a Dharmacharya, Reverend Hagewood, in the past I've gone by Chaplain Hope, so I guess it's Reverend Hope now. Very happy to be here. I want to just take a minute or two to reinforce, for all of us to practice reinforcing the really fun, happy, beautiful, amazing things. Because something I learned years ago, and I still have to work on it, is that I need to reinforce the good. Okay, my t-shirt, your mind is your only limit. And this is, I gave one of these to Pennywadi, and some of the monastics have them, and my favorite shirt, so I wore white over it to be official. But I have another one that talks about, what you think you become. And it's so true. So I know that in my life, I've had a lot of problems where I did a lot of renewing, what do you call it? You're upset. Thank you. And you get upset, you're depressed, you're angry, whatever, but it gets caught in that loop. And you repeat it. And you may have really good reason. You may have a very valid point to be upset. And anger can be very helpful. Sorrow can be very helpful. But if we just keep on and on, it's very sticky, like glue. It's very tacky, and it will stick in your brain, and it will just keep reinforcing itself and reinforcing itself. But joy does the same, except for in my mind, I think it's a little less tacky, a little less sticky. You have to work at it more. So I want us to sit for just 2 minutes, and I want you to think about that. Yes, yesterday we had a memorial for Panyawati. Yesterday, we got to celebrate the life of Pennywadi that we got to know. Oh my. I mean, I'm about to cry just because I'm so excited. I got to be friends with Pennywadi. You got to be friends with Pennywadi. You got to be friends with Pennywadi. We had Pennywadi in our life. And if you didn't, if you're new here, watch her online. You'll love it. So let's just sit for a minute or two and think about and reinforce the wonderful things that we had Pennywadi in our life for.
Her last name's Chaplain Hope.
So over the past few years, when Pennywadi and I would talk, we'd talk about everything under the sun, but at different times she'd say, oh, put that down. I want you to talk to them about this. And so one of those things was miracles. And every time I say this, I think of this movie I saw as a kid in the 80s. And very end of it, this little kid goes, "It's a Christmas miracle." And I have got this new thing in my life where it's a Buddhist miracle. And I'm like, it is. Oh, wait, it sounds like that movie. I never thought of miracles being Buddhist, but oh my, there are Buddhist miracles. And so about 6 months ago, I started writing them down. The ones that I've witnessed, made a little note of just a list in the Kroger parking lot. And I'm not going to talk about all of them, but she wanted me to talk about them. So the first one I had written down was breath. That was the first true miracle that I ever witnessed. And it is maybe the biggest. I feel that the breath is magic, like literal magic, and also superhero powers. Like, really. I'm not even over exaggerating. I really think so. And I think that everyone has the ability to use it. We just don't all know, or we haven't had enough practice, or we've never even heard of that. I used to not believe in that kind of stuff. I thought, whatever. Fairies would be really cool, but it's nothing. Magic would be awesome. I love Harry Potter books. Oh my God, I've read those so many times. I love the Chronicles of Narnia, but this isn't real. But our breath, it truly is. So when I first started practicing, we come in and you sit up straight and close your eyes, and they're going to ring a bell, and they'd have a little guided meditation, and they'd say, breathe in, breathe out, and leave all your worries, just set them down to the side. You can get them later, feel into your body. And I would think, oh God. And they'd ring the bell, and I'd count to like 3, and then I'd open my eyes. And I would stare at these people. I'd just be like, I don't trust you. I don't know you. I don't trust you either. I don't trust you either. I'm just gonna, and then I'd see them kind of do their arm like they're gonna ring the bell again. I'm like, and then they'd talk about the breath, breathe in, breathe out. And I'd get these little assignments, just feel the breath, just count to 10 with your breath, 1 on the in breath, 2 on the out breath, 3 on the in, go to 10 and come back down. And I'd try it at home. I'd be like, 1, 2, 3, dog. And I'd be like, okay, start over. 1, 2. Oh, I'm supposed to do that thing. And then I'd, cuss myself out and jump all over myself and start again. I hated it. I hated the breath. I hated feeling the body. I hated meditating. It sucked. It sucked. Oh my God. But, however, I had met this therapist, and he was all into Buddhism. He'd done it for years, ended up becoming a Dharmacharya. And he would be like, no, the breath is great. Let's just sit just for 3 minutes. I'm going to ring the bell. We're just going to sit calmly and breathe. And we would do that, and I'd think, oh my God. But after, I don't know, 6 months, I'm driving in the car, and I thought, I think I trust him. I think he's a good person. I mean, he might be the only person out there that's actually like trustable, because I don't trust anybody. I don't want to trust him. I don't think I have to trust him. And then I asked him some questions about his practice. And I'd be like, oh, that's a really good answer. Really nice. He does the right thing. And I respect his practice so much. So, okay, let's try this one more time. One more time. We're going to breathe. And I'd get home, and and I hated it still. And, but I kept trying because I could see this person who embodied the Dharma, who really, lived it. And I was like, that is hard to just say, nah, you can't say no to that. And one day he goes, okay, you do this out there, real world. I was like, oh, crap, I have to go to a place. So I called around Nashville to the different places. And I would ask questions when I called, like, where are you meeting? What's it like? How long is the meeting? Tell me something about it. And they'd say, well, we do this and we walk in a circle and then we stop and we walk the other way. And then we sit on a cushion and we meditate and then we have a meeting and da, da, da. And I'd think, on a cushion? I can't get down very well on a cushion. Are you kidding me? I'm not going. So then I happened across a place that had chairs. They had a few cushions at the front, but most people sat in chairs. And I was like, all right, that's it. That's the one I'm going to. That's how you pick it, the one with chairs. And most people are in chairs. And it was wonderful and magical that they could let me sit in a chair. But then they did the same thing. Ring the bell, close your eyes, feel your breath, count your breath. But at some point, something clicked. And I remember a guy talking after one of the meetings, like a Q&A kind of thing. And he said, what I've been doing is I start with 30 seconds. And I said, can I do this for 30 seconds? Can I be with whatever thought I'm upset about also at the same time, just for 30 seconds? And I'll feel my breath. And I thought, okay, I can do 30 seconds. And he said, and then you make it longer. He said, sometimes, I even drive all the way home, and I've made it the whole way home, and I'm feeling my breath, and I'm not thinking about this thing, or at least letting it be. And I was like, oh, I bet I could drive home tonight. It's 15 minutes. I might could do it. And I did. Oh my God, I did. And it was glorious. It was like, wow, I have finally done something and succeeded at it in my life. This is good. This is good. And it was like, okay, so I did the 30 seconds, got that. And then eventually, this is probably at least 6, 7, 8 months in. I got that 15-minute drive home. And everything went to hell when I got home. But I got that 15-minute drive home. And I didn't cry. I didn't think about those things that were just getting stuck in my head. I didn't like it. But I was okay. And I was breathing. I was feeling it. And I was letting that be, just setting it aside. And that, man, at that point in my life, I really thought that I was just a loser all across the board. I could not do anything right. I was hurting people by even being in their lives. I just, I was just so sure of that. So to have that 15 minutes after 8 months of practicing with a group and with this therapist, 15 minutes, it was like just, I could do anything at that point. So I kept trying and I kept trying and I kept trying. And after these, the Buddhist meetings, we had these meetings, and afterwards, sometimes people would go out to eat or just go get coffee and talk. And I had become friends with someone there. And we were both kind of new and a little anxious, still. I know I was still anxious around all these people that practiced for years, and they knew all the right words, the Pali, and they could say them, and they knew what they meant. And they had talked about their teachers from other states. And I don't know who any of these people are that they're talking about. And so we both go out to get coffee after the meeting with these people. And he's new too. And we meet each other in the parking lot, and everyone else is already inside. And we're walking around the corner from the back to go down the sidewalk to come up. And I don't know what I was talking about, but I was upset about something. I think someone had been a jerk at the end of the meeting, but I'm upset. And we're getting close to that door, and I'm still talking about it. And I go to reach for the door, and he puts his hand on the door, and he says, stop, breathe. You need to take a breath before we go in. You're upset. And I was like, oh, I'm like, it's just getting worse and worse. And I'm about to go in there with these people I'm trying to be friends with. He's just holding the door. He's much taller than me. He's just holding that door. He's like, just breathe. I was like, okay. So I took that breath in and I exhaled. And so much of it was, not all of it, but a lot. So we took another breath and he breathed in with me. And it wasn't gone, but it was like, wow, I can go in now. I'm good. That's good. And I remember he was like, you just completely changed. 2 breaths, in and out, in and out. You're okay. Yeah. And we go in and it was fun. It was still very nerve-wracking because it was, people I didn't know, but it was fun. And so I just kept practicing. My next assignment was sit on the cushion for 30 minutes a day, butt on cushion, 30 minutes a day. And then afterwards, write down just a couple of things about it in a journal. And I did that and I was very diligent about that. I was like, okay, because this breath thing is cool, but that's about it. And everything else is still crashing around me. I'm still coming to meetings and sitting in the very back and crying the whole time and trying to be really quiet, but tears just pouring down my eyes. And because I'm about to be 54. This was when I was in my 40s. You have a lifetime of trauma. It doesn't just go away because you found your breath in your first miracle, your first Buddhist miracle. It takes time. So I started doing this, sitting myself on the cushion every day. Still, most of the time, didn't like it. My dog, not the one that we have now, but another one, would come and try to sit on my lap, and I'm like, no, 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 no. So I bought him a cushion or her cushion and put it next to me, a dog bed cushion, so we could meditate together. But it didn't work too well. I did that for months. The only problem was, and this goes back to the someone say that word.
Ruminations.
Thank you. Ruminations. I don't know why I can't say that word right now. Ruminations. The only problem was that the mind is still, that it's still very sticky at times. And at this point, I think I've been doing this for a year and a half and have not, I haven't found peace yet. I found these little moments, this breath, but not this, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good. We're all happy. Not this, I don't know, this stuff that's here now. And I was on the cushion. I've got a timer and I'm, trying to sit there and trying to be physically still, which was just so hard. And people I learned from were doing eyes closed. So that was hard. Even in my own house with the doors locked and the blinds closed, it was hard. I didn't notice it, but it just started happening. Those thoughts, started coming in. And they did here and there, and they did here and there, and they did here and there. But I had not learned yet or figured out or whatever, practice enough with the let it go. Okay. Let it go. I mean, I tried at different times. I could not figure that out though. I couldn't make it happen. Not for more than a few breaths. And it just kept coming. It just kept coming. It just kept coming. And I really just got way too upset, too depressed, too crying, and start like feeling, my breath is just ragged and I'm just panicked and I've got to do something to fix this. But I stayed the whole 30 minutes on the cushion. So later that week, I talked to another mentor at the center, and he was like, no, 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 no. At that point, you get up. Do not, if you are getting to this point where you're thinking really awful stuff, get up. Go watch TV. Go walk the dog. Go fold clothes. Go leave the house. Get up. And it was like, oh, thank God. I was trying to be so rigid with this practice of this is how it looks, this is what it's going to be, this is what people do. You guys, your things never fall off. I can't get mine safe to pin down. Oh my God, and if I don't do it right, this is awful. It's falling. I have to do it right. But that was me being attached to a thought and then reinforcing these upsetting thoughts. And that's not what the practice is about. That's not what formal meditation is for. And what maybe it's helpful to other people is not helpful to me. It's time to get up and change pace, distract if I need to, whatever. If it's something that's bigger than me, it was time to put it away, do it up, just watch TV the rest of the day, whatever I need to do. And I can talk about that with someone else later that could help me because I'm not ready to handle that yet. But so I'm talking about, attaching to these thoughts. Lucida and Joe both talked yesterday about fearlessness, the Penuani and the fearlessness that she was teaching us. That is another miracle. And to get there, which I'm not fearless all the time, but to get partially there, breath. And Penuani, I wrote this down in one of the talks. It was not too long ago, and I think she said it at other times too, but November 6th of 24, so it was a little ways ago actually. It's not that you don't feel, it's that you're not attached to that feeling. That's hard. That is really hard. But that's where the breath comes into hand. I used to go to one of the jails in Nashville and do refuge recovery. And it was really more like, let them talk about their problems and we're going to teach them breath. And so they would say, I'm just so angry. I'm going to punch that person. I'm going to have start a fight. We're going to, And I'd say, well, hold on. How about let's just breathe just a little bit. And they're like, okay. I'd say, I know, I hated it too. Let's just for a little bit. Okay. And you count. Okay, I'll count. So I'd count and we breathe. And I said, it's magic, but it's not just instant. So how about when you're doing whatever chores you have to do every day, just try to breathe. Just try to feel that the in-breath is a little bit cooler and the out-breath is a little bit warmer. I remember someone said, I can barely tell the difference. I said, great. You have to put more focus and attention into feeling it than to noticing that difference. And I was like, just 2 minutes randomly, whenever. You don't have to sit on a cushion. You don't have to sit down. You can go into the bathroom. Just feel your breath. And then when you feel a little bit more comfortable, maybe 2 times a day for 2 minutes. I don't know. And then maybe eventually when you go to punch someone and you're going to go to solitary, you might breathe. Because the breath really is a miracle. So I was talking to Mikey yesterday upstairs, and we were talking about the name of the talk could be Fearing Miracles, because you guys were talking about fearlessness, and Penny White had said, talk about miracles. So I have this other, I brought a few little things with me, little things I've written down through the years, just in case I couldn't figure out what to talk about. And I brought this. The first time I met Panya Deepa, my first Dharmacharya retreat. And I think over 50%, probably over 75% of the time I was crying. It was a little embarrassing because I'm meeting all these people I've only seen online, just crying all the time. And I'm like, oh, they're going to think I'm crazy and can't do this, but I can do this. And what happened was about 2 days before I left home to come, I was packing my stuff, getting ready to go, and it just kind of hit me. I have fear all of the time, 24/7, every day. I have it when I'm with my closest friends that I've known forever, that I feel very comfortable with. I have it when I'm with my mom. I have it with my dad. I have it with my coworkers. I have it when I'm going to Kroger to buy milk. I have it all the time. I have it in the happiest moments. I am scared to death. And it's just under there, always there. Sometimes it's really big in my face, and sometimes I don't even think about it, but I know I can still feel it. It's just a thing. And I had always had this fear as long as I can remember. And so it hit me, and I was like, oh my God. And I started crying. And I don't think I stopped very much. And we got to the retreat, and I'm still crying. I get to the retreat, I'm still crying. And so, like the second day, third day, I got a chance to have a few minutes alone with Panya Deepa. And I said, what do I do? There's so much. And I've learned so much, and I'm here, and I'm ready, and I know this stuff, but I cannot make the fear go away. And he said, well, the brain has these little grooves in it. And I said, yeah. He said, well, you've got a really deeply ingrained groove that has to do with fear. But luckily, science has even proven you can reverse that. He said, it's going to take a long time. It's not easy. But it is actually humanly, scientifically possible for you to get rid of that. And I was like, oh, that would be a miracle. How do I do it? He said, oh, it's just practice. When you notice it, you name it, and then go to something else, like something joyful. Today it would be Penuati. I got to know Penuati. I feel so fortunate. I got to know Penuati. Like one of the cool kids in high school, because I got to know Penuati. But he said, so you just gotta, every time, do it again. And you may notice it 50,000 times in one day. That's fine. Fear. Okay. Notice something else. Change it. That's okay. It's there. It's okay. Change it. And I'm telling you, it has worked. Not 100%. Again, so far to go. And if I'm really, really tired, I haven't had a lot of sleep for a whole week, or I'm sick or whatever, man, it's a lot worse. When I'm feeling healthy and when things are going my way, and people are behaving around me, they're doing what they're supposed to do, it's a lot easier, and the fear's not there. The trick I've been working on lately is that even when people around me are not behaving like they should, that I still don't have the fear. But that is, again, a work in progress. But, oh my goodness, anger is just a habit. That's it. You can change habits, right? I've heard that all my life. They're hard sometimes, a lot of times, but you can do it. And Penny saying that, it's not that you felt it, it's that you're not attached to it. That's you. So you notice it, you go, okay, I'm going to try to let this story drop. I'm going to distract by thinking that Penuati is awesome and I got to know her. Instead of, oh yeah, I remember that. They shouldn't have done that, and that made me really scared, and I shouldn't feel that way. I deserve to not feel that. No. Completely let that go and try to, okay, let's really focus on Penuati's wonderfulness. And, oh, no. Really focus on Penuati. Okay, and then now focus on this. Just over and over again, stop talking about it. And another miracle is that it works. If our minds are our only limit, and I wish I could have worn both T-shirts. You are what you think. I am the only person that can validate myself truly. And I'm not saying I don't believe in validating others. I think it is very important. especially with younger people, with people who are struggling, who are suffering to a degree. Validation is important because that's how I first learned about validation. I got it from someone else. I was like, okay, you believe in me, so I'm going to believe in me. We'll just do that right now. I believe in you and you believe in me. Okay, that's good enough. And it grows from there. But when I am in that place where I'm thinking that they would have just, or they need to, or this is not working, and oh my God, it's going to be horrible. Going over here, just because if the more I talk about it to myself and I validate myself, I am digging deep into the ground of that anger and that fear. And it's making me more angry and more fear. And I am attaching to it with super glue. But if I put it aside, just drop it, change. Next month, I get to Zoom with Penny Whiting. In 2 months, we're going to Heartwood. And those things that just make you start to get so excited. I did that. Yes, please.
If you wrap that thing around the back of your neck, you'll look like a chaplain.
I will. I know. I thought I'm going to tie it like a scarf. I don't want to be disrespectful. And anybody else has said another time, anger is gotten rid of by not harboring the thought. Don't harbor it. Don't hold on to it. Anger, I'm not saying that anger is not a good thing. It has its uses. It really does. I mean, for one, it lets you know that maybe there's something wrong that needs to be changed. Maybe you need to put up a boundary and just say no. Maybe someone needs you to step in and go, hey, I see you. I'll witness. But it's so easy to just let it run away. Just run away with your mind. And with the way we communicate with people in the world nowadays, it's very easy to reinforce that. I'm not saying social media is bad because it's got wonderful things, but it's very easy to reinforce that. But you can also use your social media to reinforce joy and kindness and goodness. It's just watching out for those algorithms. I know I mentioned this the last time I was here talking. The breath, the miracle of the breath continued for me on my first time to go on a retreat that was away, that was overnight. It was like a 7-day retreat, silent retreat in the desert in California. It was really cool and scary, really terrifying. But I waited forever. I would hear everyone at the center talk about these retreats, and we would have some Saturday half-day retreats or day-long retreats, and I would go to those, all of those. But going away and being silent all the time, I was so scared, and so I waited for like 2 years before I went on one, and I think it was the right thing to do, at least for me, because I didn't freak out that week. And a lot of people had rushed into it and they were really panicked. But for me, I thought that worked out well. But so one day, and one of the last days we're there's some free time, and I had walked far away to this little path, and there was a fountain and a little circle around the fountain of gravel and some benches, and I sat down in one of the benches, and I'm just trying to feel the breath. And then I'm getting distracted by the cool stuff. And then I try to feel the breath. And it just hit me. All that, all the stuff I was worried about. And that was before I had come to the realization that my whole life had been filled with fear, underlying fear, before I had met or even heard of Heartwood. But it just came to me. Yeah, I've got my breath. I've got this thing all of the time, all of the time. It's never going away until I die. And then I don't think it matters at that point. Who cares? Don't need it. So actually, I can use this as like a superpower because no one knows that I'm trying to harness the power of my breath because we're all breathing all the time. And when I breathe, sometimes very quickly and sometimes after doing it forever, I eventually, my body starts to calm down. My heartbeat starts to get a little slower. And then my mind starts to calm down and not be like, run, they're gonna get you. Just calm, starts to calm. And then I can see things a lot more clearly because when I am panicked, I'm not thinking clearly. My brain's going off. That wise mind, it's fearful mind at that point, angry mind at that point, which anger is just it's the fear. So I was sitting there and I thought, so really, I always have my breath. No one can take that away from me unless they kill me and then I'm dead. I don't care. I'm in heaven. I'm good. I'm not worried about this world anymore. So it was a true Buddhist miracle. It was like, whew, I'm safe in the Dharma. My breath is the Dharma. I am safe in the Dharma no matter what happens. So when I'm at home by myself and I'm scared and it's late and it's after a Dharma meeting and we went out for coffee. And so it's like 11 at night and I got to drive home and I got to park the car and get all the way out and go to the door and fumble with the keys. And what if someone gets me? I'm safe because I got my breath. And I'm still afraid, but I'm safe because they can't take that away from me. And I would imagine these scenes because my mind, I was constantly reinforcing that fear to the point of then my brain just kind of took over. I would think these things, what if this happens? What if this happens? And I'm seeing these horrible scenes. What if someone grabs me and they rape me and they beat me up and I am left on the side of the road dying and no one knows where I am and no one comes to help me? Or what if they drive by and they don't care enough? Because I'm just a monster. Why would they care? And I started going, oh, well, I mean, that would be horrific. But it had my breath. It sounds weird, maybe. But to me, it was like, oh my God, worst thing I can ever think of could happen to me. Like that stuff in those horror movies I've seen. And I could be breathing through it. I could be feeling my breath. And that sounds real extreme, probably. But that the knowledge that I don't have to live my life in fear. I just got to keep practicing with remember the breath. Keep practicing with my breath. Keep doing it over and over and over and over again. All the time, driving, doing the dishes, folding the laundry, going to work, anything. Going to a party, breathing while I'm talking to people and feeling it. And I'm good. I'm safe. I can be horrified and scared and in an awkward position, but I'm okay. And it makes me excited and happy. I think also another miracle I decided yesterday and was just that was Panyawati. And now I'm going to tear up. She was a true Buddhist miracle to so many people. She was amazing and she was fierce. Loved it. She told a story one time about um, some woman that she'd been dealing with for months. And the woman had been acting out in whatever way people act out. And that she had to tell her, okay, that's it. We've tried and we've tried again. And it's okay that you messed up, but we've tried too many times. It's now time. We're just done. Boundary. And I was just like, wow, that's so cool. You can tell people boundaries. Um, and she wasn't afraid. It was just, okay, I want to give this person the benefit of the doubt. I want to give them a second chance. The first couple of offenses weren't that bad. They can learn. But now we've gotten to a place that it just keeps happening over and over and over again. And it could be something much more serious. So, okay, I guess it's time to move on. And she was just like, that's it, time to move on. So I talked to this person and I put up a boundary. She wasn't afraid. She didn't have to write notes. She didn't have to ask her therapist, well, what if I say this? She didn't have to call her best friend and say, okay, so let me just practice with you what I'm going to say to this person. Or call someone else and say, I don't know what to say. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? She was just like, oh, no, you put up a boundary, wish them well. You put up a boundary and you wish them ease and love. And you're not angry. Because anger and fear are just habits. Not rarely ever helpful. And we don't have to have them. We don't have to attach to them. So I really feel Penny Whitey was a miracle. Is a miracle. I'm sorry, I don't think she's gone. I mean, she's transitioned. She is somewhere else. She is different. She may not be she. She may be nothing like what I remember of Penny Whitey, but she's not gone. And she's definitely not gone from here. So I'm just really happy for her. I'm so happy that I got to experience her here. That was a real miracle in my life. And Penny Deepa. So no one has to say anything if they don't want to, but can anyone think of a miracle in their life, a true Buddhist miracle that they want to share?
I will.
Okay.
Um, you know, as I thank you, as I heard you talk, when you were talking about miracle, I kept the word awareness kept coming to mind for me. And that the miracle is that awareness for me that has come in stepping into this place and meeting Venerable Panyabadi, and just the simple act of listening and being open to the experience. So much of my life I've been kind of just shut like a clam, and it's for me, it's that gentleness of being able to pry someone open in various ways and knowing just the right way of going about doing it. That when I reflect back and kind of think about my experience of getting in touch with the Dharma, and also just that understanding that this isn't the first time for me that this has happened, and with Venerable, I do not have as many one-on-ones as I like reflect back and think that I could have. Because in my head, I was like, oh, she's very busy. She's got plenty of people around her. People are always asking for this and that, and I want to be one of those people. But anytime that I did have the opportunity, it was just the miracles were just kind of in the awareness of the words that she gave me for whatever experience um that I was going through. I remember one particular time last year, she pointed out, she's like, "Oh, you're really anxious." And I was like, oh, I'm not always like this. I'm not always anxious. I'm just like this because like I'm new here and I'm trying to figure things out. And as I reflect back on that, I realized that that was kind of like a protective armor that I have worn for such a long time. And what she was saying is like, I wonder if you have to wear that the way that you're wearing that. In a very simple and gentle kind of way. And I think for me, that is the awareness. That's where the miracles are. Is being able to be contemplative and be able to reflect back on what was on the Dharma, on the teachings that have been really, really eye-opening for me. It was really funny when I was listening to you talk and you were talking about the breath. There was a certain point that you kind of breathed, and then I felt like a cool wind come into the room, and I was like, so it's like you're right. It's never gone, always here. And what a wonderful thing that is to just know that. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, awareness is cool. It's kind of double-edged sword. It's for me when I've had these insights of the fear thing. That's a wonderful thing to be aware of. That is a really hard thing to be aware of. I cried and cried and cried. I mean, I just cried and cried and cried. Pennywatt even said something about, okay, it's okay, you're crying, but don't do this until we're going to wait to do this. If it's something I wanted to do when the crying slows down. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. No, just cry. But that awareness, the awareness, it's not always pleasant. And sometimes it's amazing, but just having it and knowing. One time I was driving to work, going down my old street, stop at the humongous intersection, turn left, going up. I'm right past that intersection. I'm about to get over and get onto the interstate, and it just went boom. And I remembered some traumatic events from it must have been 15 years ago, and I had worked so hard to make those go away in my head. I really have worked. I did good at this, which was not good. Of just making them go away. But all of a sudden, I'm driving to work, and I've got to be there soon, and I've got to look okay. I was a teacher. I can't go in there hysterical. And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. That's a problem. But man, you go, oh, okay. At first, it was like, oh, dear God, it's the panic. But years later, it's like, hey, I'm so glad I remembered. And I sat with it eventually, and I, breathed through it. And it's a beautiful thing to be aware. It's also beautiful to go, hey, I made it. Now, I shut that stuff down for a long time in my head and it just wasn't there. But still, I made it. I lived, or I kept trying. Does anyone else have any Buddhist miracles or any kind of miracles that you can think of that you want to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
I had a friend in New York who was he's a chef, and like he became very acclaimed, and he's been all over the world, cooked in underwater restaurants for presidents, sheiks, And he told me one time, he said, I was asking him what he thought about this other chef. And he told me, he said, never trust a chef till you taste his or her food. And so for me, the real miracle is that I taste the Dharma of Panavati and Panadipa. and not even and not just taste it, but I got to taste the fruit of her endless searching. She took us to the river of Buddha Master. I was talking to one of his students yesterday, and she told me, she was like, don't think too much. Just continually listen to that Dharma and let the taste get into you. Just let it get into you. And I thought, wow, how fortunate am I that the river of who I am led me to this moment. And how fortunate am I also to have a teacher who showed us it's not just sitting down. Like Dharma is not just sitting down on a cushion. It's cultivating our conduct and behavior in the world, because that's what allows the stray thoughts to fall away. And what I perceive as miraculous at this thing, it's the science of the universe. And to meet someone who has given their life and the true embodiment of all that they are towards that, it's such a rare thing. It really is. And sometimes, as we traverse that landscape, we get to a point where we have to really confront the deeper traumas and truths of ourselves. And it's only to the extent of which we have learned patience, learned perseverance, learned forbearance, seen the example of someone who has crossed through that threshold, that we know that it's true. And so, like a teacher shows us, it's a living way. It's not some dry thing in a book. It's an actual force of life that pulses through everything they do and everything they are and all of the people they touched. And we sit at the altar of that. And we try to understand it through our little mind. And they tell us, no, 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 that's not the way. Put that down. There's something else behind that. Oh, you're holding on over there. Let that go. There's something else behind that. And little by little, the seed of whatever that miracle is, it starts to grow in us. And I feel like our teacher showed us that in 1,000 ways, in 1,000 times, in 1,000 different situations. And then she was gone. And she was telling us the whole time, hey, this impermanence thing, you got to put this at the forefront. Because it shows you how to live your life if you really get intimate with it. So when we talk about a miracle, I feel like we sat in a constant miracle. And some days we were able to receive it better than others. But it was a spectacle to behold, wasn't it? What I gathered from all the people I talked to yesterday is Parvati was a life force. Sometimes she was a rocket, a missile. Sometimes she was a butterfly, you know? And I'm really great, honestly, at the miracles that I'm here. And I know you all. And I'm getting closer to the things that behind me. And sometimes it's tender work. But I know I got people who see all that. And they accept me for all that. And that's a really good place to be. So I can't say one specific thing. I think it's all pretty miraculous. I think it's miraculous that you're sitting there right now and I see the strength and the tenderness and the power growing in you. I hear it in Kadara's songs. I feel it in Soma's steadfastness. I see it in Busita's commitment to excellence. I feel it when Joe walks us through his engineering way of understanding concepts in a way that's real. And add feminine. I see it when Reba drives me nuts. I see us all growing, and that's a miracle, isn't it?
Yeah. So Reba doesn't drive me nuts.
It doesn't.
I drive myself nuts. Yeah, it's everything, all of that, Rob, all of it. It's all a miracle. And the reinforcing the positive thoughts with your mind, just mind training. When I remember to do that, man, I see this stuff everywhere. There's so many miracles. That day in the parking lot at Kroger, I grabbed my little notepad out the side of the door and I'm writing down, yeah, this would be good. Let's start down these miracles. And then I just started seeing them everywhere. It was wow. Last night, my husband and I, when we left here, we went home and ate and let Igor the Wonder Dog out of his crate and loved on him a little bit and then put him back in. And we went to Goodwill. And when we got out of the car, there were the sky had this huge area over to the side. It wasn't taking up the whole sky. There was a lot of gray, but there were just these beams, huge beams, strong of sunlight coming down. And it felt like a miracle. And I don't know how you would even classify that. Just it was like, oh yeah, there's Penny Whitey. She's like saying hi, thanks. That was a good service. I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm having fun. I don't know. It's just the sky. But when you think about those miracles, and I had been thinking about those miracles during the service, reinforcing the joy that the breath brings, that the Dharma brings, all the same thing, breath, Dharma. Breath and Dharma. Our breath is very holy. Very holy. It's miraculous. It is Dharma. It is everything. There are so many little pieces to the practice and so many different ways. All the doors, all the gates to the Dharma. I mean, wow. And they don't even call it Dharma a lot of times. In so many movies. I interrupt movies really bad at home and concerts when we're there and TV shows by going, oh, Doug, that's Dharma. He's like, yes, I know. But it's just, because Pennywise would think that and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And he's okay, you want to watch the rest? Oh yeah, let's watch the movie. Okay, let's actually pay attention. Because I'm just like, Dharma, Dharma, Dharma. Dharma is everything. And in all of those moments when I see the Dharma at the concert and when I see the Dharma on YouTube and when I see the Dharma at Kroger in the parking lot, it's magical and it's miraculous. And my breath is with me at all of those moments. And because I started with the breath, torturous breath, 3 minutes every time, with my therapist, just sit there and feel the breath, and I don't trust them, and I open my eyes and stare at them. And then, I wish you guys, I don't. Sometimes I wish you guys could have seen me back then. You cry now. I sent Pennywise some pictures that were good examples that I had actually shredded but found the little copies of them. I was able to make more for her one time. She requested pictures of me doing stuff back in the day. Oh, it was so different. And I remember when I first started going to the Dharma meetings, there was a woman that I met and we talked a little bit and she came a few times and then she did whatever and stopped coming. And 4 years later, she came back. And I happened to be leading the meeting. And afterwards, she runs up to me and she's like, I just figured out who you are. I had no idea. I had no idea who you were. I mean, I've been sitting here for an hour. And she said, at some point, she thought, she looks a little familiar. And I said, oh, yeah. I'm the person that used to have their head down and hair like this and I'd walk into the Dharma hall and I'd do this and I'd cry a lot. And she's like, yeah. And I really never saw your face. Now I can see your face. I didn't know who you were. Just everything is different. And I was like, yeah, it's Dharma. It's breath. I had a mentor one time. Mentee one time. And they had to move to another state. And so I was like, we can do this on the phone. No problem. And so we talk on the phone once 5 times a week, whatever, you know. And after a while, they said, I went to some meetings here. It wasn't the same. And, you know, for various reasons, I'm going to school and I'm working and I'm, you know, I think I'm going to pause. And I said, that's fine. And they said, well, could we still talk though? I was like, yeah, whenever, just as much. We talk more. And of course, every word out of my mouth is Dharma related somehow. It's either direct Dharma or I'm trying to sneak it in. And I'm just trying to, you know, talk normal, but I'm always talking Dharma. So continued for a year. And so like a year later, she calls me up and she's like, okay, can we start this mentorship thing again? Because I want what you have. And I was like, yeah, well, we kind of never stopped because, you know, I never shut up about this. But yeah. But it's, this stuff is miraculous. I never would have imagined a decade ago that I could talk in front of people like this, that I would be telling you honest to God that majority of the time I'm very joyful and it's an easy joy, just a relaxed joy, even though I still get very hyper. And, you know, but it's just, I never would have thought that I had superpowers or believed in magic or miracles. I never would have imagined that someone like Anyawadi would have been my friend and seen value in me. I never would have thought that someone like Doug I'd get to marry and have a best friend. I never would have thought I could sit still for 30 minutes on a cushion or meditate. I mean, I always thought it was really cool. And I had this little fat Buddha. It was not Buddha, incense burner that looked really hippie and cool from the flea market. But I didn't know anything about this stuff. And I never would have imagined that I would be Reverend Hope. I mean, really? That would have robes, breath, Dharma, Buddhist miracles. It's possible for everybody, and it's perfectly fine if it takes you 5,000 lifetimes. I don't know how long it's taken to even get to this point for me, and I'm not done. But when I can breathe and remember, and even, you know, it just being in this place when it happens. I think I could fly almost. I mean, I can't, but wow, everything is possible and everything is fine. And those people that I used to always constantly tell myself, if they would just, they still do it. And when I can get myself into this place, I don't care. I mean, I'm a little sad for them. And when I have to drive to have a meeting or something, or I know something's coming up where I'm going to be with one of those people, I feel my breath. I do the breathing. Or I play a song that has Dharma in it that reminds me, and feel my breath too, usually at the same time. But I kind of, you know, remind myself intentionally, okay, so I'm heading to this place, or I'm going to have this meeting tonight. It's in 2 hours. I'm going to spend the next 2 hours feeling my breath consciously. And, you know, I'm okay. I got this. And if everything blows up and they are horrible and I freak out and I cuss at them and I yell and I cry hysterically, okay, I'm still good. I'm still safe in the Dharma, no matter what. Although, you know, hopefully the breathing helps to me to not freak out and yell and cuss and cry. And that's the thing. It almost always does, really, most of the time now. And not too long ago, I was talking to someone who's very traumatic for me, that I've known most of my life. And I've had, it's been hard. And their mind is starting to go a little bit. And I didn't know I was going to be talking to them. But they were on the phone somehow, on speaker, in a room with some other people. And I was already kind of like, doing my breath and just telling myself, I'm good, I'm fine, just breathe. And the person on the phone that was traumatic, started talking to me directly. And I thought, okay. But that was it. Huh. It's interesting. They think this is appropriate. Oh yeah, their mind's starting to go a little bit. Maybe they just don't realize. Because I didn't talk to this person for years. And I was always put in these positions where I had to be with this person. And I would hide in the bathroom. I would do whatever. And the only thing that happened was that I went, huh, they thought it was appropriate to talk to me. Oh yeah. And that was it. And it was so joyous because I didn't get upset. I didn't even think to get upset. I didn't get it. I was just sitting there feeling my breath because it was a weird situation anyway. So, So with my breath, I'm always safe in the Dharma, no matter what happens. And you are too. And you are too. And you are too. And you are too. And everybody is too. You just got to practice and remember and catch it. And keep going. Keep trucking.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me share. It makes me feel so good. And then, I just have great weeks and days for a long time. It's like a high that lasts for so long. I get to talk about Dharma. And I get to say the word Dharma. I'm so careful with how I talk about stuff. But I'm always talking about Dharma. Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments about miracles or Panyavadi or Pranadipa? Yes.
About 15 years ago, I was living in Cleveland, and I decided I was probably going to retire somewhere in the Carolinas. And to an dating site, I met somebody, came here, didn't work out, and I went back to Cleveland. And then decided I'm going to go back and study Buddhism in Colorado. But I connected, and I remember this woman had a nephew who was now going to school in Colorado. So Naropa had this sort of strange history with a teacher there that could sometimes be viewed as problematic. So I wanted to talk with somebody who lived there, whether this was a good place to go or not. So she connected me with her nephew, and it turned out, gave me comfortable that this is okay. And so I ended up going to Naropa, spent 3 years studying there. Along the way, I reconnected with that woman, Nancy, and she moved out to Colorado also. We got married. Now I'm thinking, what are we going to do next in life? Turns out she had property here in Nashville. But I'm looking for Buddhism somewhere. What can I do? What can I do? So I connect with a professor I had immense regard for. Judith Simber Brown is her name. And she says, oh, don't you know? Paniwadi and Panidipa have a place called Harwood. Why don't you go there? So because of an event at a dating site 15 years ago, I'm sitting in this back chair right now.
Oh, that
Wonderful.
miracle, Nancy.
That is a Buddhist miracle.
Yeah, we appreciate your miracle.
Yeah, I think too.
You left me with a question,
Okay.
and my question is suffering a miracle?
It was for me.
Yeah. And to really, really like sit with it. And to not, and because we can see good things as a miracle, but bad things as not.
Mhm.
So to try to not really differentiate what is a miracle.
Yeah.
And so it's not really like, this is a miracle, this is a miracle. That's not.
all,
Right.
it all is. It's not my suffering. Wouldn't have told you that back then. But one of those mugs I kept seeing people are hashtag blessed. Oh, I saw one at Dollar Tree. And I saw like people would put them under pictures at Facebook when I actually used to look at Facebook and hashtag blessed. And I'd just be like, how did you get blessed? Did God forget me? I was, maybe I did do something wrong. Maybe I'm bad because I am not blessed. This is not blessed. And then about 3 years ago, I'm in Dollar Tree again. I love Dollar Tree. Sorry. They have stickers. There was a mug and it said, hashtag blessed. And I almost got it. I started to reach for it and go, I'm blessed. I really am. This is so cool. I should get that. And I was like, oh, well, what? What? I swore off all that. I almost bought a hashtag blessed mug. And I thought, well, I don't drink coffee much, so I didn't buy it. But I thought about, I'll just display it somewhere. Because I feel and I want to say though that something that was hard for me in Christianity, and I love Christianity. I love all the religions. I really do. But something that was hard for me was the blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed, and I felt like, why am I not? But when I got into Buddhism, it was, well, you got to do some work, and it's going to be hard. And maybe you haven't learned that lesson yet. No one's taught you. Let me teach you some stuff, and then you practice with it. And, you've got to do it yourself. Some of this, it's just not, you're blessed. You're not. You're rich. You're poor. You have bad hair. It's
Easy.
no, dude, I have lots of hairspray today. I've been rocking the back part and freaking out over it lately. And it's like, why am I caring about this when I come to her? It causing my own suffering. It's my mind. But no, I feel so blessed, but I earned that. I didn't, and only by just not giving up. Everything failed. For the longest time, I tried so many things. It did not work. But I was like, okay, what's the next thing? Let's just keep trying. Or let's cry for a while. And then let's keep trying. And then 3 years ago, I'm like, I should get this mug because I'm hashtag blessed.
I'm so glad you didn't buy that one.
It was a cheap one too. It was smeared. But the ink's like hashtag blessed. I was just like so excited. I can get a hashtag blessed mug. Oh, I think we bless ourselves. And then other people do bless us. Penyawati blessed us. Deepa blessed us. When we live the Dharma, we are blessing everyone around us. Even if we don't know them and we don't know we're doing it and they never realize it was us, we are blessing them around us. When we control our breath and practice with our breath, and so when we get mad at that person cutting us off in traffic, but we stay calm, or we are blessing them, we are blessing ourselves, we are blessing our children, we are blessing our parents, and we are blessing everything, even on these tiny little things. And when we mess up and we try again the next morning, Nancy?
I think one of the things I find miraculous about the breath is that it's air, and someday our breath becomes air. It's a great book if you haven't read it.
Okay.
But that air hasn't changed, and it's been universal, and it's the same air that Panyawati breathed. It's the same air that the Buddhists have breathed. It's the same air that every living thing has breathed in and out. And it's life-giving. And someday when ours become air, it's life-giving forever.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. Thank you. It's very true. So what was it? There's a sticker or something. Inhale the shit, exhale the joy, peace. And I was like, can I get a big bumper sticker and put that on my car? Yeah, this beautiful air, beautiful breath. Anyone else?
Well, ever since I've been here this weekend, I feel like there's been just dozens of Buddhist miracles. I remember when Kadara first came here and she's like, I think I'm gonna become a Buddhist as a parent. I was like, what? You know, I just didn't know what I didn't know, right? We didn't know what we didn't know, but I was just like, if you're happy, healthy and safe, I don't really care, you know, Venerable opened her arms to Kadara like instantly. She didn't even know her. And I was like, this is amazing. And then when I came to visit for the very first time, I was like, Venerable said, she's such a blessing. I thought, you're a blessing. But she was like, no, she's a blessing. And I was like, this is incredible. And ever since that day, I've never had fear. Ever at all. Like, and then when I come here, every time I visit, which is 3 times a year or so, you know, I meet people and I'm just like, I'm blessed through her and through all of you. And I've learned through her and through all of you, which is amazing. Like yesterday, I was introducing myself to people and asking, how did you know Venerable? And then they'd say, who are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm Kadara's mom. And they'd be like, oh my God. We love her. She's such a blessing. And I was like, oh my God, it's just the right place for her to be. And I learn and grow just, I live in Dallas, but I feel like I learn and grow just coming and visiting and then obviously through her. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for opening your arms to her and having her then teach us. And then I feel like we're teaching others too. So thank you.
Yeah, when I found out you were here yesterday, I was like, I gotta go meet her and hug her. Because I feel blessed by you through Kadara. Because everything
Well,
we
when
do
I was
affects.
pregnant with her,
Mhm.
I'll tell you what, y'all. I knew that girl did not, her days and nights were mixed up. So she would be up all night, like kicking. I had to sleep in a recliner. And then during the day she would sleep and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be up all night, which means I'm gonna be up all night. And that's how she was growing up. Like she was a night owl. But I just knew, I was like, there's something special about her. There's just something special about her. And I always knew it. And from the moment she was born and every person she came in touch with, it just, everybody's always said the same thing. She's just such a blessing and, so impactful. And so. Anyway,
She's miraculous.
Yeah,
She's a miracle.
She's my miracle.
Mhm.
But so are you all for.
Mine too. So just a couple more breaths of feeling the miracles. So I'm going to close instead of asking someone else. May we all be at ease. May we all be at peace. May we all remember our breath when we're in the midst of chaos and everything is burning down around us. And may we all, when we remember our breath, remember that it's all fine. It's all good. We're safe. Thank you.